Today, I am going to discuss with you dividing whole numbers using area model. On this side here, you would see numbers from 10 to 90. Skip counting by 10 and 1 to 9. Actually, these sets of numbers here are not a part of the area model. I just wrote these numbers here for me to have an easier way of estimating how much of a number would go into my dividend. And I will discuss that further as we go on. And this is the actual area model. So let's say you're given 6,305. Divided by 97. Okay? Using the area model, the first step that you should do is draw a box. So I'm going to draw a box. Okay? This is your dividend, this is your divisor. I am going to write my dividend inside my box. And I'm going to write my divisor on this side of my box. But I'm going to write it in expanded form. So, writing 97 in expanded form, I'm going to separate my digits according to their values. So, the value of 9 is 90 and the value of 7 is 7. Okay. So, I'm going to divide now 6,305 by 90 and then by 7. Using estimation, if you're going to, I'm going to use these numbers here. If I'm going to multiply 90 by 10, it's 900. That's too small. 90 times 20, that's also too small because I'll be getting 1,800. So jumping into here, remember your multiplication table. 9 times 5 is 45, and then add the 2 zeros, that is 4,500. It's quite small for here. So let's have 6. 9 times 6 is 540 or 5,400. Okay? You might be thinking that is too small, but remember you have another number here which is a 7. If you're going to take 70, 9 times 7 is 63, plus 2 zeros is 6,300. But you still have the 7 here. If you're going to multiply 7 and 70, that would be 490, and that would be more than this one here. Okay? So let's write the 60 here. Okay, 60. That's why I wrote this for you to have an easier way of making an estimation. So let's have 60. I will write 60 on top of my 6,305. And then I am going to multiply 60 and 90. And in multiplying numbers that end with zeros, we just copy down the zeros. I see 2 zeros here, so I'm going to copy down my 2 zeros. And I am going to multiply 6 and 9. 6 times 9 is 540. Then I am going to subtract. 5 minus 0 is a 5. This is a 0. 3 minus 4, we regroup because we cannot. That turns into a 5. And this turns into 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. Okay, so multiplying this and this, I got 5,400 and my remainder is 905. Now, I am going to multiply this also by 7. So, I see 1 0, so I write it down. And 6 times 7 is 42. And then, I am going to subtract again. 5 minus 0 is a 5. 0 minus 2 cannot be, so I have to regroup. This turns into an 8 and 0 turns into a 10. So 10 minus 2 is an 8. And 8 minus 4 is a 4. So after multiplying all the 60 and 90 and 60 and 70 and subtracted the results, I have finally a leftover of 485. This 485 would be my new dividend. So I'm going to draw a line because I'm going to start again, all over again. And I'm going to write my 485 all the way up here because this serves as my new dividend. So I'll write my 485 here. And I'm going to divide my 485 by 90 and actually by 90 and 7 or by 97. So think about it. 90 times 10 is 90 times 10 is 900. So we cannot take this. Okay? We are going to take these numbers here. 90 times 1 is 90, that is too small. 90 times 2 is 180, too small. Just think about this, 90 and 48. So let's have 5 here. Okay? 90 times 5 is 450. Okay? So let's write 5. Okay? So I will put 5 here. And if I'm going to multiply 90 and 5, I see 1 0, so I have to write it down. And 90 times 5 is 45. I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 0 is a 5. 8 minus 5 is a 3. And that is a 0. And then if I'm going to multiply 5 and 7, that gives me 35. And then I am going to subtract. And my remainder is a 0 exactly. So, exactly my answer, I'm going to add 60 plus 5 is 65. So therefore, 6,305 divided by 97 using the area model is 65. Okay? Now, how about if we wrote a smaller number than 60? A smaller number than 5. Can we still have 65? Yes. This is the advantage of the area model. Okay? So I'm going to do it on a separate whiteboard. Okay? So we are going to use the same number. Okay? 6,305. Divided by 97. Okay, so the first thing that you should do is draw a box. Mrs. C, does it matter how long the box we are going to draw? It doesn't matter. So for me, I would rather draw a bigger box so I would have more space. And I'm going to write my dividend here. 6,305. My mouse is not working well, so bear with me. And write my 97 in expanded form. 90 plus 7. I will start dividing now. 6,305 divided by 90. So let's say we use these numbers here. The 10 is too small. 20 still, that's 1,800. So let's say, how about if I just got 50? Okay, so let's write 50. I will write my 50 here. And I see 2 zeros. If I multiply, I just write down the 2 zeros. And I will multiply 9 and 5. That gives me 45. And I'm going to subtract. That is a 5. 0 minus 0 is 0. 3 minus 5 cannot be, so we regroup. that turns into a 5. This turns into 13. 13 minus 5 is an 8. And then 5 minus 4 is a 1. So we still have this. We multiply this by this. And that gives you 1, 0, and then 35. So 5 minus 0 is a 5. 0 minus 5 you cannot. So this turns into 7. This turns into a 10. 10 minus 5 is a 5. 7 minus 3 is a 4. And then we bring down 1. So we have a remainder of 1,455. And that would be our new dividend. So I'm going to move this up here. Okay. So I will write 1,455. And I'm going to divide that by 90 and 7, okay? So we go back here. If we have 90 times 10, that is 900. 90 times 20, that is 1,800. And that would be more than this one. So we cannot have 20, so let's have 10. So I'm going to write my plus, and then I would write my 10 here. And if I'm going to multiply 10 times 90, I have 2 zeros. And 1 times 9 is a 9. So 10 times 90 is 900. I am going to subtract. So I have a 5. 5. And 14 minus 9 is also a 5. And then I'm going to multiply 10 times 7 is 70. So I'm going to subtract. That is a 5. Regroup, that becomes a 4, that is 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. Okay, and then that is a 4. Okay, so we have a remainder of 485. I will use this again as my new dividend. So I'm going to write it over here. I will start over. So 485 divided by 97. Okay. Our number now is small. So we cannot have these numbers here. We have these numbers here. So if we are going to think about it, that is 48 and that is a 9. Can we have 5 groups of 90 here? Let's write 5. So I'm going to write 5 here. Of course, I'm going to add that to 50 plus 10. So if I'm going to multiply, I see 1 zeros. 5 times 9 is 45. And we subtract. I have 35. 5 minus 0 is a 5. 8 minus 5 is a 3. And that's 35. If I multiply 5 and 7, that gives me 35. And if I'm going to subtract, I have no remainder. I am going to add this. 50 plus 10 plus 5 is 65. So if you are going to compare our answer with this, I use the same numbers, okay? But I have here 3 columns because I started with 50, okay? And I got 65. With my first discussion, I started with 60 and I still have 65. So that is the advantage of using the area model. Okay, you can start from a smaller number, but of course not too small, because if it is too small, it will take you a longer process. This is how you are going to divide whole numbers using the area model. Okay? I am going to give you another example. And my next example would be 1,416 divided by 59. Okay? What is the first step you're going to do again? Draw a box. So you're going to draw a box. Okay, so that is the first step. What is the second step? What are you going to write inside? You're going to write your dividend inside, which is 1,416. That is your second step. What is your third step? You're going to write your divisor in expanded form. So in expanded form, that is 50 plus 9, and you're going to write it on the side. So I'm going to write 50 plus 9. Okay? Okay. So we have 1,416 divided by 50. So we're going to refer to these numbers here. Can I get 10 groups of 50? Here, yes. And that gives you 500. But it's small. That's too small compared to 1,416. So can I have 20? What is 20 times 50? That is 1,000. And that is close to here. So let's have 20, okay? I'm going to write my 20 here. I cannot have 30 because that's already 5,000, 1,500, and we still have 9 here. So I'm going to write 20, and if I multiply, I have 2 zeros. I'm going to write 2 zeros here. And I'm going to multiply 2 and 5, and that gives me a 10. I will subtract, and that is a 6. That is a 1 and 4. And I still have my 9 here that I would multiply, 9 here that I would multiply with 20. And that gives me 1 0. And 2 times 9 is 18. And I'm going to subtract also. 6 minus 0 is 6. 1 minus 8. We cannot, so we regroup. That is a 3, and that is 11. 11 minus 8 is a 3. And 3 minus 1 is a 2. So this extra here or left over here would serve as my new dividend. So I'm going to write it all the way up here because I am going to start over. So I have my 236 now that I am going to divide by 50, and I'm going to divide also by 9 or divide by 59. Okay, so if I'm going to take 3, that is 150. Then I take 3. Let's try. Okay, so let's have 3 here. I will write 3. And if I'm going to multiply, I see 1 0, and 3 times 5 is 15. So 3 times 50 is 150, and I'm going to subtract. That is a 6. 3 minus 5, we need to regroup. This turns into 1, and this turns into 13. 13 minus 5 is an 8. And I'm going to multiply this one also. So 3 times 9 is 27. And I'm going to subtract. So we have 6 minus 7 cannot. So we regroup. That turns into 7. 16. 16 minus 7 is a 9. And 7 minus 2 is a 5. So we have a leftover of 59. So I am going to write this all the way up here to be my new dividend. Okay, I will write my 59 here as my new dividend. If you're going to look at this, 59 divided by 59, how many groups of 59 do you get from 59? Of course, you can just get a group of 1. So I'm going to write my 1 here. I will multiply 1 times 50. I see 1 0. And then 1 times 5 is 5. And then I'm going to subtract. That is a 9. And 1 times 9 is a 9. And I am going to subtract here. And I have nothing left over. So my answer is 20 plus 3 plus 1. So 20 plus 3 plus 1 is 24. Now this is how you're going to do when you are dividing whole numbers using the area model. The first thing that you should do is draw a box, write down your divisor inside the box, write down your dividend inside the box, and write your divisor in expanded form to be written on the side. And you're going to estimate these numbers here. I just wrote them down for me to have an easier way of making an estimation, and I am pretty sure that since you're 5th graders, you need this also. So my advice is for you to write this on any side of your paper so you would have an easier way of making an estimation. So this video is actually intended for 5th graders, especially my students. I am really intending this for you, my dear students. I hope you understood my explanation. Okay? Thank you so much for listening and watching my video.